Hello, and welcome to Spirit Calling Healer Interview Series. And I'm very excited. Today, I have my wonderful friend, Janine Shapiro. And for those of you who don't know me, I am Jacqueline Kane, Master Energy Healer, low back pain specialist, helping women to live the life that they get to design for themselves. So, Janine, please share with everybody who you are and what you do.
Jackie, first of all, thank you for the privilege of being here, and your work is phenomenal, and I absolutely adore working with you. Well, I'm Janine. I'm down here in South Africa. I work online as a personal leadership coach, a healer, and a psychic. And it has been a journey to get here. And what I do helps people. I used to say just women, but now I'm working with men and women to literally understand what imagination, intuition, and instinct can do in their lives, that it can help them to think by design and change their lives. Get rid of that pain, whether it be physical or emotional, and sometimes psychological, and that's okay. And to move forward, to reset their heart set, their mindset, and their gut set. Now, people go, gut set? We'll explore that later, people.
Well, how on earth did you get into all of this amazing work? And I know how amazing you are, but I want everybody else to know who you are and even more about how you got into this.
Oh, thank you, Jackie. And likewise, it has been a very interesting journey. I was unaware of my gifts. I was unaware of what I could do. I just know people would say, Janine, please touch my back. Please, won't you just put your hand on my head because I feel so much better. And I would just share things with people and they would get better. I still remember a time I was on a cycle tour because my husband and I at that time were avid cyclists. And somebody said to me, my friend gets terrible sinus. So I said, oh, that's interesting. And when her friend came, she said, Janine can help you. And I just showed her to rub this point. So I touched her, rubbed that point. Well, she never had sinus again. And I was completely oblivious of the fact that I had run energy through her and allowed Mother Earth to run energy through her. The bottom line is she never had sinus again. And what happened was when my dad passed away, I had this realization that if something happened to my husband, I would be unable to provide for my children in the luxury and the lifestyle we were in. So I took my then wellness business online and I started meeting people who I thought everybody could just touch people and they felt better. I just thought everybody could just help people. My children often used to say to people, you need to go and see my mom. She's got the last ditch clinic. She will help you with things that nobody else can help you with. And I could. Having said that, Jackie, I did not charge people. And people took advantage of this. And I still remember the one woman I said to her, this is what the challenge is with your daughter, and this is what is the best to do. And may I speak to your daughter? And the daughter would never speak to me. Well, Jackie, these people spent hundreds and thousands of rands and dollars to take their daughter to America. And about 6 months after this, woman phoned me and very sheepishly said, do you know you were right? And they had spent, if I tell you, hundreds of thousands of rands to get a diagnosis. I gave them, well, not a diagnosis, an insight. The doctors gave a diagnosis. And so this was the story. And when I went online, I went, oh, look at that. I could be a healer. Maybe I have psychic abilities. Oh my, that little voice that talks to me, the guides and my inner whisper. Oh, you mean not everybody works with angels? Not everybody gets answers like this through understanding? And that began my journey.
Wow. So it took you a while to really understand what you were doing naturally. You
Yes.
were doing it automatically. How far were you a child when you were doing this also? Or when did
Yes.
it show up?
Yes. Even as a child, my uncles, my mom, my gran would say, "Oh, Jenna, like, just come and put your hand on my forehead. It takes my headache away. Or just touch my back. It makes it feel better." And it was just so incredible that we were unaware of it. It was not something at that time that was spoken about. And in fact, in South Africa, a lot of alternative medicines were illegal for a very, very long time. People did not openly speak about homeopathy or that sort of thing. I know my mom did a lot of research and exploration into various things, and a lot of stuff was just socially unacceptable at that time. I know when I first got married, somebody asked me, would I be a client of theirs because they were doing a Reiki certification. And I got intrigued with it, and I didn't take it further because when I went home, my dog wouldn't let me in the house, and dogs normally love me. And my own dog loves me, maybe because I fed her, but that was so that sort of like put me off the energy medicine capacity of it. I later found out that you have to be at a certain frequency in that. And Jackie, I'll tell you, in that thing, I literally felt my body come together. So whatever my dog was responding to, who knows? But it put me off exploring what if I had explored would have shifted my children's life and my life. But you know what? Everything happens at its own time.
So true. And everything is energy, right?
Yes,
And animals
everything
are
is.
so in tune with energy.
I really
Sometimes us as humans are not in tune. Can you share what are your thoughts on why that is? Some of us are just more sensitive, and I have my own thoughts, but what are yours?
I definitely feel programming has a tremendous amount
Yeah.
to do it. Family lineage traumas has a lot to do with it.
Yeah.
Past life traumas, concurrent lifetime traumas have to do with it, and definitely societal pressure. Because I know how long it took me to go onto Facebook and say, "Oh, by the way, as well as doing coaching, I'm a psychic and I'm a healer." And I called myself a spiritual life coach, and I called myself all sorts of things. People, I'm psychic. I can tap into where you should be going, the better way for you to go. And because of that, I can help you achieve your dreams, help you understand what it will take, and what the blocks are that are keeping you stuck.
Mm.
Am I reading your mind? Preferably not. It does happen when people think too loudly. And I say to them, "You are thinking very loudly." And they're like, "What?" And it's given me a much deeper understanding of energy and the way things work. And I feel people are afraid of it. We are told. To give you an example, I was part of a charismatic church, and I was told, lay hands on people, help them feel better, but it's evil if you do energy work. And I'm like, hello, something isn't adding up here. You're telling me to lay hands on the sick and make them better, but when I talk about, oh, I know what you're thinking and I understand what you're feeling, I'm evil. Let's get a reality check here and see
Yeah.
where our biases are. So societal pressure definitely has a lot to do with it. And very often our partners will block us from doing it.
Mm.
I'm
Yeah.
extremely blessed that my partner is absolutely supportive. Sometimes he'll say to me, "I'm not quite understanding what you're saying or what you're doing, and that's okay. So long as I feel better, that's great."
That's right. And you don't always have to know what's happening, right? Just the fact
No.
that this works to help you
Yeah.
feel better and grow your business, who cares, right?
That's it. And that you just brought up something very interesting when you say, "Who cares?" It's to let go of what other people think.
Yeah.
And because of that, Jackie, I'll share with you. Roland, my partner, is now working with Qigong, and he's running with the Chi energy. And my stepping forward helped him to step forward. And
Mm.
very often, that's all we require, is that following the whisper inside of ourselves and letting go of what other people think. And that is the fundamental issue. People are afraid to listen to that whisper.
Yeah.
They are taught to distrust that whisper, and they are taught to distrust themselves rather than trust that the creator and the one who's within all knows what's best. So we
Yes.
get to create with them at a deeper level.
Yes. Yes. And I believe that we've learned to distrust ourselves at a very early age, right?
In
So I'm
utero.
sure that you probably scared some adults when you were a child and you just knew things, right?
Absolutely. And Jackie, what was so interesting, I now, with looking back, understand my mom was also intuitive and a
Mm.
psychic. She would walk into a room and start talking about things that she, like, what am I talking about this stuff for? And people didn't want to be around her
Mm.
because she would start addressing issues that they were having in the privacy of their home without understanding it. And I know, and she used to say, Janine, don't talk about things like that. Janine, don't do that. Just,
Yeah.
and even at school, I remember having a blackout, almost a blank out, not a blackout, a blank out when I was processing something. There was just too many emotions in the classroom. And I
Mm.
just remember when I think I was about 8 or 9, I just spent that whole year crying. And it turns out there was a problem with the teacher and several of the children in the classroom. I only found this out after I left school,
Wow.
and so
Wow.
it's like, if
Yeah.
your child is coming and telling you they're feeling things, they're experiencing things, go and find out if it's their emotion and their feeling or they're picking things up.
Yeah, and it took me some time before because I have 2 boys, and one is definitely just more intuitive, right?
Mm,
And more susceptible. Yes, sensitive, but some people use that word sensitive in the wrong way, right?
yes.
So he was sensitive to the energies in the classroom, which
Hmm.
caused him to have behavioral problems because he couldn't sit still. When in
Yep.
reality, there was a lot of chaos, and our children in public schools, in America anyway, there's a lot of chaos. So for our sensitive children that we are putting into that classroom, start looking. If you listening out there have a sensitive child, I had to figure this out, but once I did, I gave my son time when he got home from school to settle down,
To
right?
decompress.
Decompress, release all the energies that he picked up, and
Mm-hmm.
even to have conversations with the teachers going forward. Let's pick. I was trying to get very strategic in the teachers he had, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, I so understand that. Jackie, on that note, I truly wish I knew when my son was at school what I know now,
Yes.
because let me put it to you this way. I would be in my kitchen, and you cannot see the kitchen from the front door. And he would walk in and say, "What's wrong, mommy?" And because he was young, he would think it was aimed at him. Meanwhile, I was just processing. I was in the wrong work. I was in the wrong occupation. I didn't understand that I was a projector and who I was and what I could do. And
Mhm.
it was literally a mess. And this child
Yeah.
would pick up on it. My daughter would also pick on it. My daughter would pick up on the clients I was working with. So she became quite ill, and my son became depressive.
Mm.
And it's so interesting how energy, when we are unused to working with our own
Yes.
energy and what our energy is, impacts our children and our partners so tremendously. Plus, I was living in what they call a depressed area. We had cash
Mm.
flow. Not everyone in our area had cash flow. And my children and myself would pick up on this. We just had no idea what we were picking up on. My son would go to other places because he's 5 years older than my daughter, and he would come back and say, "I hate coming home. It's heavy." So I didn't
Mhm.
understand energy at that time. And I would get upset because I took it personally.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, in hindsight, having moved like very far away from the area, I now understand what he was experiencing. And I
Mhm.
realized I was experiencing it as well. I just was interpreting it differently, and my daughter as well.
Yeah. So it's amazing if we could go back and do it all over again, right? As mothers, as business owners, it would be so different
With this knowledge,
with this
not
knowledge.
with this
Yes.
knowledge.
Yes. Can you share a little bit about how this all impacts connection?
Well, do we have about 5 hours? No. So let me condense it. How it affects connection is when we are able to connect with our inner self, with our inner whisper, we are actually connecting with other people. And something, Jackie, both you and I know, people hear us in our heart and in their minds before they hear us with hear us with their ears. And this impacts connection. So if you are thinking, oh, I don't want to be here and I can't stand their dress, and oh my goodness, did they really say that? That person feels you. They hear you. So is it going to create a good connection, or is it going to break the connection? The person feels judged, they feel unhappy, and they have no idea what they're feeling. And so then they push back, and this impacts connection. Whereas we can go in saying, I love this person, everything is always working out for us, and I know how to draw energy through a situation, through myself and out the back of me. It brings a deeper connection. And that connection starts within us. Are we connecting with our soul? Are we connecting with our intuition? Are we connecting with our instinct? Because people, they are different. They are
Mm,
very different. And what am I imagining in my mind? Am I imagining a great connection? Am I imagining a good situation and scenario? Or am I creating stories that I'm picking up from other people's situations and from previous experiences? Because instinct is a good thing. It keeps us safe from a car that's about to bang into us. Instinct is a bad thing because we think there's a saber-toothed tiger behind us and it's a past experience.
mhm,
Whereas when we work with our intuition says, you're safe, follow this. Or, you know what? Maybe you aren't invited to play with this person and their energy at this time. Instinct screaming no, and yet intuition is guiding us that maybe it's not for now, it's for later. Or instinct is screaming no, and intuition is saying there is a person here that you are being asked to connect with. We then get to step into this, understand it, and work with it at a deeper level. Our connection is also with the earth, our connection is also with source and spirit. And when we step into that oneness, that seat of consciousness, rather than standing back from it, it brings us a much deeper connection that brings us understanding, brings us knowledge, and brings us expansion. We get to create and co-create with the person rather than constrict ourselves and constrict their life. And that is where connection is so important. I'll give you an example. Before this call, I had a sense to message somebody, which I did. And then I was busy with a client and they had tried to phone me. And they messaged me, say, please, can I phone you? And I was like, do I really wish to connect with this person at this time? And I heard. Instinct told me no. Intuition told me yes. Well, Jackie, I got the answer from this person about a question I've been asking for about 2 weeks about the fight, flight, or freeze. And they said with women, add appease. And I went, wow. And that's what blocks us from true connection because women look, where can they appease a situation? Also, when now people, masculine and feminine energy is in men and women. When it is in the divine balanced, men step into their masculinity and women step into their femininity at a deeper level, which brings a deeper connection between women, between men, and between men and women. And that is another point of the connection. Whereas when we are on the wounded side of we choosing to appease people, we are in the wounded feminine of appeasing people, men and women do it. We are unable to connect at a deeper level because we are blocking our power rather than flowing our power. And one of the things of masculine and feminine energy is we flow the masculine to receive the feminine, We flow and we receive. We give and we receive. And this brings balance, which brings a deeper connection. Does that make sense?
Yeah, well, as you're talking, it's hard for some people to connect because of their wounded parts,
Yes.
right? It's like, which glasses are you looking at a situation at? Is it through the lens of fear, or is it through the lens of empowerment and intuition? Is that
Yes.
right?
Absolutely. And when you look at the word fear, it means feel the feeling, explore it. Is this mine? Is this somebody else's? Is this for now, or is this from a past wounding? Acknowledge it. Thank you for coming forward.
Mhm.
Guess what? You get to sit in the driver's seat and we release it and we replace it. And when you can see what you're feeling, you can understand, I am not angry. When people say, I'm angry, absolutely, let's avoid playing that game. We have a feeling and a sensation of anger within ourselves, and that is what is blocking the connection. We have a sense of feeling unworthy. Does that make us unworthy? It's a feeling. And when we see it and say, you know what? I see you, that feeling of unworthiness, and I'm unavailable to play your game today. We are able then to connect at a deeper level with people. I dislike it when people are told to step out of their comfort zones, because when we step out of our comfort zone, we feel unsafe. And this blocks any and all connection with our destiny, where we're going, and we stay stuck in fate. It blocks us from connecting. Whereas if we say, you know what, I can expand my comfort zone, I can feel uncomfortable, I can stretch, and I can stretch the boundaries of my comfort zone, we achieve far more, and we achieve a better connection with where we're going, who we're going with, and what we are going to do. And that it takes that wounding that is there, that blocks the connection, and allows us to move away from it just a little bit, and a little bit more, because what we desire is on the other side of it. And
Yeah.
we can say, yes, I feel wounded. That's okay. I know I'd like to go there. I know I'm choosing to go there. And we just stretch it, stretch away from it, stretch away from it, until it says, oh, I no longer require this. That's a
Hmm.
past experience. And that, Jackie's, I know what you do when you help people with lineage healing, with that lower back pain. You are helping them to step away within a feeling of safety from that benchmark that they've measured themselves by. You help them to understand, this is within me. I'm unavailable to play with it today because I am going to achieve this. I am choosing to achieve that. I choose to expand my comfort zone. I choose to stretch that little bit. It's like, I dislike it when people do stretching when they're cold, because they will tear their muscles. Whereas when you ease into a stretch, you ease into it. When you go straight into a stretch, you're going to rip that muscle. There's
Yes.
ease into it. And that's what it is about the comfort zone. That's what it is about connection.
Yeah.
Connect where it's just that little bit of discomfort and you still feel safe. And then you get to a little bit more, a little bit more. And that is how we move beyond that feeling of being stuck. We
Yeah.
move into becoming unstuck. Does that answer your question?
Yeah. And, sometimes people will say, well, I feel fear around this, right? So they're taking it as it's not right for me to do that. But
Oh,
actually, can be the complete opposite. It could
yeah.
mean, oh my God, yes, step up and say yes to this and say yes to you, because there's something even so magical on the other side, right?
Yes. Yes, because fear is our ego saying, be careful, don't
Mhm.
do this, stay in this uncomfortable comfort zone.
Mhm.
And when we feel fear, Jackie, you are so correct. We know we are meant to do it. And
Yeah.
that's what I'm saying. Look, is it instinct keeping
Mm.
us safe? Is it intuition asking us to move forward? And where is ego terrified it will lose its job?
Yes. So I'm assuming that's what you help your clients do, right? Is
Yes.
to understand their intuition and their
Yes.
instinct, along
Yes.
with using your psychic abilities and giving them the best option and their best direction in life.
Yes, absolutely.
Beautiful.
We go and look and see where the energy is stuck within their body, stuck within their life, because that stuck energy is blocking the connection, it's blocking the understanding. And when we can unblock that energy and help them become unstuck, wow, it's incredible what happens. Something I have learned is capacity. Connection is also dependent on capacity, because it's no good I take a 350 ml container and I pour a liter into it. It's still only going to contain 350 mils. And people have this desire to pour a liter in when they only have the capacity for 350 milliliters, darling.
Overload, overload.
Does that make sense?
Absolutely. Do you want to share some results that your clients receive?
Definitely. I had a shame. I had a client, and she came for her first session with me, and we also discovered she's a projector, and that's one of the reasons she's uncomfortable with having a lot of people around her. And we did energy clearing, we explored her story. And when she came for her second appointment, she said to me, I've been so scared to come here because I was scared of what you were going to ask me, because it feels like my head's empty. And I went, yay, yay, clap, 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 clap. That is so awesome and incredible. That's how we are meant to feel, because we've put a lot of stories to bed.
Yeah.
And I've had other clients where we have shifted the energy from anger to understanding. And this helped them with their knees, helped them with their backs, helped them with their relationships, and helped them to move forward. I have a lot of businesswomen who come to me because they would like to go to the next step in success. And this particular client, she was running after her children, she was running after her partner, and she was trying to make herself do what everybody else desired rather than what she desired. Well, we helped her shift her story. We helped her understand also that she's a projector and that rest is a good thing. And that she had this huge, she was told, she followed some of the very initial people who at that time had a very wounded hustle mentality, and you've got to finish what you start, and you've got to go and chase your dream, and you've got to. Nonsense. No wonder she was about to have a nervous breakdown. As a projector, she was there to initiate and start things and then hand them over to everybody else to finish. It was not her. And you know how it took quite a while for her to understand this, that it's okay that she hands things over for other people to finish. It doesn't matter what this very large male guru was teaching. And even he, I have noticed, has calmed down. And it's very interesting. So help people understand who they are, what is aligned with them and their journey. And that just because that is somebody else's journey, it's great to take what is good for you and leave the rest with them.
So
And
true.
so what if your mother told you you stupid? Maybe it's because your mother felt she was stupid. Maybe you felt you were stupid, and she was and very often she was talking to you, you were talking to yourself in her voice.
Yeah.
And remember, and I'm going to contradict that slightly, but the first 7 years, we are sponges. We take on everything without the understanding of it, without the capacity of it, and without the connection to the bigger picture of it. And as we grow, it's to shift that energy of that. And it helps to know where you wish to go. The challenge is to stay in the present, because remember, today is tomorrow's events. We create today what we wish to have in the future. So to have that awareness of what am I making conscious today, with awareness and with connection to it, do I wish to be connected with it, or am I choosing to shift my story? And I help people shift their story. Some of the men I work with, it's to help them understand their partners, that their partners are different to them. And it's okay to feel confused if your wife is giving you stuff and that you have no clue what she's talking about. It's okay. This is how you dissect it. This is how you work with it. I've also worked with people who have blended families, the his, hers, and ours situation, and help them with conscious parenting, conscious relationship, and conscious co-parenting. Because we are all human. We all get to say, what is this person showing me? What am I showing them? What is the mirror and what is the projection? Where do I wish to keep this story, and where am I choosing to release this story and replace it with a story I would like to live? So if you dislike what you've got in your life, go and check the thinking you're doing, the feeling you're experiencing, and understand it may not be your thought. And you are not that feeling. You just have it because of the way the thought triggered the emotion and your body is experiencing it. Guess what? We can release that. And that is primarily what I have with my clients. It's just quite amazing. I had another client who, if I tell you, she hates journaling. She hates journaling. So we came to a compromise. You pick up a page, you take a pencil, and while you speak it, you just shh, so you get the motor movement. And this helped her to clear it, because I knew I was never going to get her in the near future to sit and physically write out. Well, that was a few years ago. I got a message from her the other day to say, I wrote out what I wanted in my journal. Only in 4 words. I still put some words on the page. It was just so sweet. And it's just so many different things. And at the moment, something I'd like to share. I had a client a while back who, her journey was to understand that in allowing her grown-up children to have their journey, she had to choose her journey. And helped her to choose her journey. And I use the word journey because I take people on journeys. I work tremendously with shamanic energy. I work with the energy of words. I work with sound and vibration. And I took her on a journey to understand where this desperate need was to be in control of her children's lives rather than to be controlled within her life. And when she was able to do that, wow, things changed for her children, they changed for herself. And it was just so beautiful to see. So very much I do use journeys as well, so that we can connect with what our inner guidance would like to have us know, what source would like us to know, what our body would like us to know. So I teach people to read their bodies because that's our intuition along with our soul. We have body intuition, we have soul intuition. Our bodies read what other people are saying. So we could be picking up on somebody else's pain and stories. So I teach my clients to do this. So I had a former client phone me the other day to say, Janine, you keep sharing with me to change my story. I think I finally understand what you mean. And this is 6 months down the line. She said, so I'm ready to work with you again. I went, great, let's move forward. Because something I also came to understand is we can take people to a point. They also get to integrate it, they get to embody it, and they get to become it. Yeah. And that is what I teach my clients to do, to become it. And it's the client I was telling you about, where she felt she had to be all things for all people and finish everything. It was so beautiful to see. She said, you know what? I dislike cooking, and my partner is always so judgmental of my cooking. I now have hired somebody who drops meals off. So it's between him and that person, and I will just settle the bill at the end of the month.
That's right.
So it was a privilege to get her to that point that she didn't have to deal with her partner's lashing
Yeah.
out through
Yeah.
his dislike of work showing up through lashing out at her over the food.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah. Sometimes it can be a process to get where we want to go, right?
It's
And we
always a process. Always a process,
always.
not sometimes.
Well, we peel the layers, right? We are all the onion. We peel one layer, we see what's underneath it. Maybe we want to sit with it for a little bit until we're ready to take the next step, until we're
Yes.
ready to stand more in our power, to be seen, to speak up. Speaking up is so hard. And that's really what stops so many people from continuing to do the work, right?
Jackie, I have a solution for that. You get a pen, you get a journal, and you speak up in your journal first.
Beautiful.
Speak
It's
up in your
wonderful.
journal first.
Yep.
Then go and practice it out loud. I had a client who would practice what she was going to say to her boss. And
We
then you
do,
say,
because
oh,
when
I
we,
don't even need to practice it anymore because the situation changed and I've never
yeah.
spoken to the boss yet.
Well, in the beginning, we need help with how to respond because
Yes.
we haven't had that, right? All we've known, well, from what I've witnessed in my life and what I see my clients witness, is that people talk down to us and then we're shocked and we don't know what to say. And we kind of shut down. So as
Oh, I
we
know that
start that
feeling.
journey, right? As we start that journey to speak up, we're like, oh, what should I say without sounding so mean, right? Because all of that anger and resentment then comes up. So we have to
Yeah.
practice speaking up.
And Jackie, that's where the difference between wounded masculine and feminine energy and balanced divine masculine and feminine energy comes in.
Yeah.
Because when we can see that it's just an interesting point of view and it's a way to stretch our comfort zone, and
Yes.
we are in contract with that person to stretch our comfort zone. And the fact that when we shift our energy, they are going to shift how they treat us because they are the mirror for us to learn from. And it was just so amazing. This lady that I was telling you about that couldn't cope with having people around her, she had a whole house full of guests over the weekend. And I said to her, how did it go? She said, it was amazing. I've never had such a good time with people. And I could actually see where this woman actually also required rest, and she was trying to live up to my standards and my expectations. And when I didn't have any, she didn't have to live up to any. And we both had the most incredible, restful weekend. I read, she read. We spoke when we chose to speak. And people, that is something I've learned in my own life. When I shift and grow, I no longer keep my husband and children in a place where I've put them because I've asked to grow. So as I grow, they can shift and be more of who they are because they're no longer mirroring my wounding to me. And when people can understand it, that person's not making you feel that way.
That's
You
right.
are making that person act that way so that you can feel that way.
Yeah. Yeah.
When people take responsibility and connect within themselves, guess what? Life changes and shifts. And that is healing, coming into completion, coming into understanding. And that is personal leadership. Where does this align with my core values? Where is this out of alignment with my core values? And where do I get to step into self leadership where I go and take the correct actions?
That's right. And it takes courage to do this.
Oh, yes.
But the ripple effect, I'll take but out, the ripple effect is amazing. Amazing.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it allows for expansion for all.
Oh,
And
yeah.
that is how people say, well, I can't do anything about it. Yes, you can. You can
Yes.
shift the way you think about it. You can shift the way you speak
Yeah.
about it. And you can shift that feeling inside of you. You can see I'm doing the energy now. You shift that feeling inside of you and take it out and say, be free, butterfly. I am no longer available to play that game.
And oh my gosh, the amazing things that can show up when you decide to do that. It's beautiful. Yeah.
Absolutely.
So,
Absolutely.
Janine, this has been amazing. And if this resonates with all of you, please contact Janine. Janine, how can they contact you?
The best is to go to my website, JanineKathleen with a K.com. I am on Instagram, I am on Facebook, and I'm on LinkedIn. I'm also on Twitter. I just don't go there very often. So, the best way is actually to get hold of me either through my website or through Facebook or Instagram or LinkedIn. LinkedIn, I tend to get it. My email is, you can email me as well from my website.
And I did put your information in the chat. So definitely reach out. And you even have a podcast. There's so many ways to get a hold of Janine. She's on
Yes.
all social media platforms. Janine, this has been absolutely amazing. Any final words to the people watching?
Think by design, because when you begin thinking by design, you understand that it's always better to think with your heart rather than anything else. And that is how we create peace, connection, and better understanding in our life. Shift your story, shift your life, and create that beautiful and incredible space you are looking to move into.
Beautiful. Thank you so much. Thank you, everybody, for watching. Have a fabulous day.
Bye bye.
Bye.